answered. I just asked a question of Kim, and then didn't let her finish while I interrupted with the presentation. So sorry, Kim. I'm David Reed. I'm the Executive Director here at the Astoria-Warrenton Chamber. I think most of you know me. Thank you for joining us for our Chamber breakfast on our Remo platform. It is March 20, or it's May 25th, and we are going to be staying on the Remo platform for one more month of breakfast, and then our plan is to start going to live breakfasts again. So if you have input on that, if you're ready for that, if you're not ready for that, if you don't think you'll be ready for that by July, let's talk about that. Let us know how you feel about that. Our sense is that people are ready to get back to doing this in person, and so we're going to try to move back in that direction. This morning we have actually a couple of great presentations. We managed to get Clatsop Behavioral Health to speak to us about a number of very important topics to all of us here, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But in the meantime, I have Meyer Freeman. He's going to do a 5-minute microphone for us. Meyer is from the Small Business Development Center, and Meyer, if you can turn your camera and your mic on, you will join me on stage here.
Good morning. Thank you, David. I'm Meyer Freeman from the Small Business Development Center at Clatsop Community College, and pleased to be here to share some information. We are launching a new educational program, and I'm going to share this real quickly. So
it looks good, Meyer. Except that we can't hear you anymore.
Still can't hear me?
Now we can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. So this is a new course that we've designed for people who want to become small business owners and those who have opened in the past year. It's a 5-session course. It'll be held weekly via Zoom, starting June 29th and running through July 27th. We've designed a brand new curriculum that we put together really with the goal of helping participants put together a straightforward business plan that they can then take and lead to successful launch of the business. We know that businesses that have a business plan are twice as likely to succeed as those that don't. Registration will open in early June. There's a $99 course fee, and the boot camp is limited to 10 participants. We're really excited that Cedar will be providing a $200 grant to each participant who completes the boot camp. So it makes it a really attractive package, and it also includes one-on-one advising support from an SBDC advisor, and access to all the key startup resources and information that we've gathered. So here's a quick outline of the sessions. The 5 sessions start with an introduction to entrepreneurship, some basic questions around what problem the business is trying to solve, and if the business owner is prepared to start a business. Then we go to getting to know your market, developing a customer profile and market research, buyer persona, and then the crucial step of financial forecasting. So putting together a forecast of expenses and revenues. And then the 4th session is tying it all together, preparing for launch. And the final session is presenting your business plan. So again, we're really excited about this. At the SBDC, we feel strongly that continuing to build new small businesses is critical for our community. It's obviously a big plus for our economy, but also our quality of life. And one of the prime examples being Gaetano's Market and Deli downtown, which has been, very successful, but also has been great at engaging with the community and being a strong community partner. So look for more information on this to come. There are a couple other things I want to briefly mention. Business Oregon yesterday announced a new grant program for businesses impacted by the pandemic. So that'll open tomorrow for businesses with 100 or fewer employees. There are some specific categories that must be met. Businesses that offer the consumption of food or drink on premise, provide indoor physical exercise, recreation, or family entertainment, or specific personal services like salons and barbers. And they have a more detailed list of the eligibility on their website. Grant amounts start at $10,000. The application will be on their website, oregon4biz.com, and the window will close June 6th. And then also want to congratulate all of the Cedar Awards, Cedar Award winners from the Astoria-Warrenton area last week in a really nice online ceremony. We honored Terry and Todd Robinette from Maritime Bar and Grill, Chris Lehman from CMH, our own Jessica Newhall from the Clatsop SBDC, Purple Cow Toys, Cannery Pier Hotel and Spa, Good to Go, TLC, Slurpalicious, Hampton Lumber, Ray Graves, and Spruce Up Warrenton. So just, some of the things that we have on an ongoing basis at the SBDC that we'd like to mention, our small business management class is wrapping up this year, the 9-month program for business owners that are looking to take their business to the next level and really build their small business education base. We've had a great group this year meeting via Zoom. We're looking to get back to with a new cohort in the fall. And then we've got several workshops coming up this week and early June, including tomorrow. What is a small business worth for those who are looking to buy or sell business? That's via Zoom. Creating a menu that sells in Spanish is Thursday in person in Seaside. CCB test prep in Spanish is Friday and Saturday in Seaside. And 5 steps to improve your profitability today is June 9th via Zoom. So you think you're ready to hire is June 10th via Zoom. And all of those are free for anyone in the community to take, with the exception of the CCB test prep, which has a fee. So everything I've covered, more information can be found on our website and our Facebook page, or by reaching out to us directly by email, and we'd be glad to help. Thank you, David, for the opportunity again, and thanks for all the Chamber does for our small business community.
Thanks, Meyer. It's a great partnership. And the programs that Meyer is talking about, they're free for the most part. They are exactly on target, and they're small group type of things. So really, if you have issues around any of these or questions around any of these things, or you just want to increase your knowledge of running your business, SBDC is a great place to go. And I'm really excited about that new program that you're starting up. So anyway, thanks, Meyer, for being here. We will, Lisa says SBDC is great. If you aren't working with them, you should be. So yeah, at any point. So we're going to transition on to our general speaker. So thank you again, Meyer, for being here and for everything that you do. And you're right. Congratulations to Jessica, who's on our call today. She was recognized for transformational leadership, and that could not be more true. This last year, she absolutely she absolutely shone. She was just everywhere, getting involved in things, being the face of the Small Business Development Center, helping to organize these classes, putting the team to work, and getting them everything that they needed. So really, congratulations, Jessica. That was well earned, and also congratulations to all of our other North Coast winners of the Cedar Awards. So thanks, Meyer. I'm going to invite onto the stage Nathalie and Megan from CBH. Meyer, there you go. Thanks. Okay, I can hear you guys just fine.
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
So we've done a little preview. I think everybody knows who you're representing, but can you tell us, first of all, are you guys right here? You're right across the street from me?
We're right across the street. Yep.
Okay, and that's our new headquarters, and you've been there for just about a year now. Is that right?
Probably about 8 months or so. Yeah, just under a year.
Okay, and that place is working out for you. A good location.
It is, yeah, the old Social Security building here behind Pig and Pancakes. So.
Right. How many times a day do people come in and wonder where the Social Security office went?
It definitely happens a couple, because thankfully we just got some new signs in place, so it's happening a little bit less often.
Good deal. All right. So without further ado, I'm gonna let you get on with your presentation. Do you want me to stay on the screen here to sort of prompt with questions that come up in the chat, that type of thing?
That would be perfect, Dave. We really appreciate that.
Sure. And then are you able to share your screen to show your slide presentation?
Absolutely. Let's see if I can get this to work here.
It looks good.
Perfect. Everyone's seeing that?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. So I'm Nathalie Matson. I wear a few hats over at Clatsop Behavioral Healthcare. I'm the Child and Family Program Manager, and I also supervise the Supported Employment Program. So we have, I'm going to let my coworker here introduce herself in a second, but we just have a brief presentation about the Supported Employment Program we have here at Clatsop Behavioral Healthcare. And then also, after we're done talking about our program, just want to talk about mental health in the workplace in general, especially after this COVID year. So I'm going to give the floor here to my coworker, Megan.
My name is Megan Dahl, and I'm a support employment specialist with Clatsop Behavioral Healthcare. I work under Nathalie, but she doesn't make it seem that way, so it's pretty nice. I'm going to show you guys exactly or speak on what it is that we do, because I know there's a lot of confusion. So what is support employment? Supported employment helps people living with behavioral health conditions work at regular jobs of their choosing. I do like to go out and get to know the employers ahead of time, because it helps to see the type of aroma or the energy in the room, or if it's something they might even be interested in, because I know my clients well, and I do take a lot of time out to get them to know them personally, but also based upon their vocational goals. We help consumers with diagnosed mental health needs obtain and sustain employment that is consistent with their vocational goals and recovery. We engage consumers and establish trusting, collaborative relationships directed toward the goal of competitive employment in integrated job settings. For me, it's very important to know about a business, and that's why I like to go out and ask employers simple questions about their business, because I don't feel comfortable referring one of my clients to say, hey, I feel like this is the right path for you, or I feel like this is the right business for you, if I know nothing about that business. So really digging in and getting to know even the small businesses in the area is very important to me in the job that I do. We conduct job development and job search activities directed towards positions that are individualized to the interest and uniqueness of the people in the caseload. The biggest thing for me is I don't want to throw somebody out in the workforce and say, hey, I think this is good for you, and it has nothing to do with any type of skill sets they have or anything that they're interested in, because not only does it waste their time as a future employee, but it also wastes the training hours of the employers as well. So it's very important to get them in a place right away where we feel like it's a good fit for them. Doesn't mean it's always going to happen the first time, but that's how we learn. We learn from the process of elimination. Okay, well, we thought this would be good for you. Well, let's go here. We provide individualized follow-on support to assist clients in maintaining employment. We don't want them to go into the job field and feel like we're abandoning them, because we're not. We're really here for the employees, and we want to help them maintain the employment with their employers. So if they come up with any questions later on, or there's anything they need help being assisted with when it comes to the employment with the company they're working for, I'm definitely here for them until they no longer need me. We write job support plans with clients incorporating input from mental health team, and we adjust plans according to clients' needs and preferences. So a lot of it seems like we're here for the client, but we're also really here for the employers as well. But our main focus is let's find the right job for the client. That way they can succeed in life and they can feel like they finally accomplished what they've been wanting to do. For the employer, there is some benefits as well. We provide education and support to employers as agreed upon by clients, which may include discussing job accommodations and follow-along support by the employment specialist. It's very important to me to make sure that the employer is comfortable hiring our clients, and if there's any type of accommodations that are needed with our clients, like as far as training, we don't want to waste any employer's training time, so I would actually go in and learn the job, and I could help train the people that we put into your business and help them, guide them, and talk to them through it and be that follow-along support for them if that's something that they need. Not saying that's what generally happens because they learn pretty quickly, but I am here for them. I do help them with the interview process, and I do help them prepare for an interview through mock interviews and helping them make sure that they're ready and prepared for an interview before they start working for the employer. We also provide employers with information to financial incentives, the I can't say it. WOTC, the federal bonding program, on-the-job training reimbursements through vocational rehab, Oregon Employment Department's veteran program, and some TANF programs. So there is some benefits for the employer as well, and we do provide that information through booklets that we provide for them if they need it. Ultimately, my job is to provide tailored training and resources which are used to match participants with job opportunities that coincide with a person's goals and abilities. We ensure that the candidate has the right skills for the job, as well as we test the skills for the job candidates, conduct mock interviews, help candidates with their resume, monitor job retention, and we work with employers to match their current job openings with our candidates. A job to us is more than a paycheck. It's very important that they go in, they feel like they're accomplishing something, that they're happy, that they're not just going there to receive a paycheck, but they're going there to enjoy themselves and to stay motivated in the right path.
And we're kind of at a break where we're moving towards the mental health in the workplace presentation. And just to summarize a couple of things that what Megan was sharing was that with supported employment, everything follows an evidence-based practice. And this model has been going for about 30 years. And it's definitely a very specific way of supporting folks to get employment, keep employment, et cetera. And basically with this program, we understand that just with this last slide here, if I can navigate, I cannot navigate back to that. But we know that recovery does not happen in a vacuum. And for those of us that have ever had a mental health symptom, we know that there's other things in life that, like structure and social contact and all these great things that a job provides that are really necessary for recovery. And a few things about our program that would be really relevant for you all is that we do have a really big spectrum of folks that come to us. I know Clatsop Behavioral, I grew up in this town, so I know Clatsop Behavioral Healthcare is associated with a few different things. I know acute crises and severe and persistent mental illness. You know, really for our supported employment program, it really addresses the whole continuum and the whole spectrum of mental health. You know, you have folks that have an anxiety disorder, all the way to folks that maybe have a more severe and persistent mental illness. So our goal here is we've got some workforce here that you would be able to tap into. I'm going to have my contact information up at the end of this presentation. So if you're ever wanting to see if, you know, we might have some employees for your business, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like I said, we like to be really individualized, get a good understanding of what your business is and what your needs are, and then the strengths and skill set of the client we would be then referring to you to work in your business. And just a few things here. It's been a really difficult year. This first, and we've been staring at this bar graph here for a while as I've been stuck on this slide, but I just wanted to highlight just the massive change that we've been through. This is a statistic from the Kaiser Family Foundation, and this captures, so from January to June of 2019, the percentage of adults reporting any symptoms of anxiety or depression was around 11%. Now we go to January 2021, and now we're looking at 41%. So nearly half of folks are experiencing symptoms of anxiety and depression or depression with all of this isolation and everything we've been through with COVID. So I understand, we understand what mental health disorders are and everything, but right now I think really we're dealing with more folks experiencing this than ever before. And so just wanted to, how did you get this to navigate here?
Can I interrupt? Can I ask a question?
Absolutely. I can't see any faces, so please interrupt me.
So the word on that graph that catches my attention is anxiety disorder or depressive disorder. So when I see that as a layperson, I think of that as chronic. I don't think of that as I'm anxious because something in the real world is bothering me, or something is bothering me of any kind, or I'm depressed because there's a reason to be depressed. I mean, is that word, does that mean what I think it means? Does that mean that that's something that stays with me, or is it just here's what I'm going through right now, and don't we all go through that?
I really appreciate that question. Yeah, for something to be considered a disorder in general, it means it's causing clinically significant impairment in our lives. So it's affecting a relationship, a job, our finances, our physical health. But yeah, the word disorder definitely has a more of a chronic connotation. It doesn't necessarily denote chronicity, the disorder piece. What this graph is breaking down is symptoms of anxiety disorder and depressive disorder, and the symptoms themselves look like, restlessness, inability to concentrate, panic attacks, low mood, little interest in doing things, not taking pleasure in the same things that you really used to enjoy doing. So really, we're looking at symptoms, not necessarily fully qualifying for that anxiety disorder. And I'm not sure if I fully answered that question, Dave.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, perfect. All right. So we know that in the workplace, employment really captures pretty huge experiences that promote our mental health and our well-being. Going to work, I know for me, we started this at 7:45. I don't know if I would have been like the most enthusiastic person at 5:30 had I not had some structure to my day. Getting up, giving me a sense of purpose and something to wake up for. And for those of us that know what it's like to lose a schedule, it's really difficult to find that purpose and to find those things that really push us to get through our day. And then obviously social contact. Our coworkers are a huge part of our social relationships, our boss, all of that. The collective effort and purpose. I know for me, my job gives me a ton of meaning and a lot of feeling like, hey, you know what I do makes some kind of difference, has some kind of purpose. There's a reason to get up in the morning. Social identity. What is the first thing that folks ask you when they meet you? Hey, what's your name? What do you do? So it's a huge piece of, who are we? And it's really difficult for folks when we don't have something going on in the employment category to answer those questions. And then regular activity, obviously organizing our daily life. And so really, we all have mental health needs, and everybody in the workplace, this becomes our business, mental health, whether we like it or not. It's right there happening all the time. So employees, managers, and leaders, all of us have a role to play, and identifying what we can do to promote good mental health, support others. And then also as an employer, looking after your own health and well-being is going to be critical to being in any kind of place where you can support others. We also look at that at modeling. Mental health. I know growing up here, there's a lot of taboos around just talking about mental health. And, a lot of us value privacy and don't want these things thrown around. And so it's really integral that we create a culture where it's okay to just even talk about it. So I wanted to break down some things that you can do as an employer that make a huge difference just in creating this culture. First and foremost, talking openly about this, naming it, saying, hey, this is important. This is something that we're open to talking about here. And, if there's any of your own personal experience, it says mental health condition. It doesn't have to be a condition. We've all been through a lot of stress and trying to make, a lot of people are having kids at home and trying to be a teacher and do their job as well. So just sharing your own personal experience, not necessarily like a mental health condition, but any symptoms or any things that have been hard for you that you can kind of connect or relate to this other person that you're trying to connect to. Encouraging open communications when problems arise, being able to talk about things and find that way of problem solving and getting through is really critical. Respecting other people and celebrating differences, being open to learning about these mental health conditions and other people's experiences. So really taking that curious approach of trying to figure out, hey, how does this affect you? Also respecting the privacy. All of us, I know for me, I'm a boss. I'm sitting here with Megan, and I know for me, I have something called positionality. Megan's probably never going to feel 100% comfortable talking to me because at the end of the day, I have that power, that positionality, right? Like I'm not going to do this. I could fire Megan, right? And so when we approach these conversations about mental health, just having that knowledge that we're coming from a position that might not be the safest. So being respectful about privacy and also encouraging folks to seek out support in the more comfortable ways, which could look like an employee assistance program, directing them to one of their natural supports, encouraging them to seek through their benefits and look through mental health counseling, things like that. But like I said before, being a model, being a positive role model, being just genuine in your actions, honestly promotes that kind of culture that inspires people. I think we all know when people are being inauthentic and are being fake. So really having that genuine, authentic work environment. And speaking up, they say silence is being complicit. So if we don't really call out those instances of if people are getting bullied for any kind of mental health issues or harassed or discriminated against, it's really important that we can be a good model and speak up in those situations. And then obviously everyone's got their own respective policies and procedures. Just even having those in place and having any kind of organization to what you do to improve mental health in the workplace, specific to your business, because this is going to look different for everybody. And so just trying to gain a better understanding of how your workplace can support you and how people can access help if they need it, making that really transparent can be very helpful. I'm going to pause on my contact information here. So for any supported employment related questions, here's my direct work cell phone number. For any main questions about Clatsop behavioral health care, or if you'd like to help someone access services, this is the main number right here. But there's definitely some things that we can do for folks in the moment when you're noticing somebody at work having a mental health issue. And one thing that I just thought I'd throw down too, because I know panic attacks, those are something that can happen to folks at work. And that can be a very powerless position to feel, how do I support this person? And so I wanted to give you guys a quick tip. We have something called a mammalian dive reflex that slows our heart rate and our breathing rate because it gets us ready to go underwater. So if you at your workplace have a freezer or a first aid kit, actually having an ice pack that you can puncture or get activated, and holding an ice pack right over the bridge of the nose under the eyes can actually completely stop and slow down a panic attack. So if you're ever in a situation where you need to help an employee who's having one, or you yourself are, putting an ice pack over the bridge of the nose can slow down the heart rate and breathing to get you back to baseline a little bit more quickly. So
That's
otherwise,
kind of fascinating.
Yeah, so I thought I'd throw a few tips at you guys. I'm going to try to hide this share screen here. All right, I'm on a laptop, so I have to find my way back to you all. All right.
There we go. So I do have a couple questions in the chat and a couple of my own, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So one of our participants asked, can you give some sort of generic examples of the outcomes of your services?
Yeah, I think one of the best things, but one of the most simple things that I have seen, and I don't know if this will answer your question, was I had a client come in and she made her resume for the first time. And at first she was a little bit standoffish because she didn't feel like it would look like, her competitors' resumes, and she was worried about it. And that's completely understandable because you think, oh, the competitor that I'm going up against is going to have like 2 or 3 pages and I'm just going to have this one. Well, I told her everyone has skills. You might have only had 1 or 2 jobs, but we can make that look amazing. It's all through the wording of the resume and really having that stand out for that person. She finally got it done and it looked absolutely amazing to her liking. And she almost cried because she said, I never thought I'd be good enough to have a resume. So for that really stood out for me. And to see them actually get their jobs and start working is, they always thank me, but at the end of the day, it was from their effort of wanting to do this. I can only help them if they want the help. They have to want it just as much as I want them to want it.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there full and part-time opportunities for folks? I mean, you're looking, you have people, basically, you have people to fill both full and part.
Yeah, we have people who seek full-time and we have people who seek part-time. We have people who some seek volunteer work. We have different varieties based upon that person's schedule and what they want and their needs. And that's what we try to go off of. We don't want to have them apply for jobs if the job is only for a full-time position, and they're only wanting part-time, we're not going to suggest that's something that they do because it's just an obvious answer for that. But we have clients that want all different types. We want some that have 5 hours, and then there's some that want 40 to 60 hours. It just all ranges from their personal desires.
Okay. And then you talked about providing ongoing mentoring for both the employer and the employee. Can you give some sort of generic examples of what that looks like?
Yeah, so we all go into the workforce and a lot of us don't have that extra support in the employment field. So let's say, Dave, I'm going to come work for you and maybe your communication is lacking and maybe I'm, what you're joking around with, I'm taking it as being serious because this might be my first job with you, and where you're being laxed and relaxed, I'm uptight and nervous. And so that person might go out to me and say, hey, look, this is what's going on. Like, I feel like he might fire me, or I don't know why he keeps acting. And it's more of like a, hey, it's okay. Let's look at it from this point of view, or let's try to talk to him about this. It's more of like a friend that's there for you but to help you with the proper advice that you need.
Okay, so really, it's sort of the helping people get along in whatever communication style they've got. Okay,
right.
All right. So
solving any specific barriers that come up for folks in terms of maintaining that employment. Yeah, so we could be acting as like helping mediate the meeting and just kind of understand, like kind of coming to you, Dave, and being like, hey, your humor style is not really going over. Megan's really not able to read that. And so we were just wondering if and proposing some changes or something specific.
Okay, so that really is an ongoing conversation. I as an employer, I still have contact with the supportive employees mentor.
As long as the employee is okay with it.
Okay. It
has to be a mutual agreement. If the employee said, hey, look, I don't want you to have any contact with my employer, I have to reason that.
Okay. So Nathalie, you talked about stigma. Let's ask some hard questions about that. If I'm bringing in somebody in the supportive employment system, there's a fear. There's a couple of fears. One is that person, this is going to be a problem either in relationships. It's going to be a problem in my team. It's going to be a problem for them. right? So there's that sort of stigma, and that's what you're there for as the mentors, right? Is to help to make that work. But there's also, as an employer, I think there's a real concern with bringing anybody on as to longevity. Right? I want to bring somebody on. I want to spend that time with them, and I'm willing to spend a lot more time and go a lot further to bring that person on if I'm confident that person will stick around. So is there any sort of numbers here for like length of employment? Is this a lasting solution? Is this a jump start to a long work career?
Yeah, I wish I had some specific data in front of me. We've been through so many iterations of electronic medical records, it'd be hard to pull that aggregate data there. But absolutely, I can definitely hear those concerns. And I think that when we look at, we have folks seeking jobs from all walks of life all the time. And I think what's special about this supported employment program is, yes, that, hey, that working with this program, there are folks that are walking that path that have some kind of symptoms of mental health, right? And like I said, those symptoms can really, really range from, hey, I just get anxious leaving the house, to like full on, yeah, I'm responding to internal stimuli. And part of this whole supported employment approach is we're working so closely with the counselors and the other folks in people's lives to make sure that folks are stable enough to seek work, that we're supporting and creating plans for any things that come up. And really, in terms of who else kind of fits that support role, our part of that advantage of being in the program is that we're having this conversation ongoing. So if longevity is a concern of the employer and you're coming to us and saying, hey, yeah, I'd really be interested in hiring somebody who's connected to support employment. I am worried about this. Obviously, we'd take a really tailored and individualized approach. We'd want to know more about your business. What are the concerns? What are some things that maybe have burned you in the past in terms of longevity, and really understanding that role and having a pretty ongoing and open conversation and really bringing and either having that person who's going to be applying really know that, hey, they're looking for someone for the long haul. Is this something you're ready to commit? A lot of that readiness and motivational interviewing stuff that we do to get folks and assess readiness, we're zeroing exclusion. So we can't just say, we're never going to help you. If you have a mental health issue and you want employment support, we definitely will help folks. But we, just like Megan was saying in her presentation, we're not just going to throw folks out there because we know it's a terrible experience. I mean, if you've ever lost or been moved on from a job that it was not what you wanted, it's a hard and terrible experience. And so we don't want to create that for the folks we're trying to support, nor do we want to create that time and frustration for the employer. So really, it's so individualized, it's hard to have a generic response to that. But we want to hit that point by point and really talk about those things that employers thinking of that really might impact longevity.
Right. So there are programs that we've actually highlighted on our breakfast and done, business after hours for. We've gone to Goodwill, and they seem to have a supportive employment type of a system. We've gone to Voc Rehab over here at the state. And is there overlap here? Are you guys doing the same thing? Are you working with the same population? What can you tell me about those other programs?
Yeah, we do actually share some of the same clients. I do personally work with vocational rehab. We do have our regular Zoom meetings. If we find out we're working with the same client, most of the meetings, like what we're doing now, is going to be over Zoom unless they could come in person. But we might actually set up, oh, you're going to visit with this person on this day. How about we all do that? That way we can all work together as a team and help this person succeed. Because I'm not going to just help one person and be like, no, I'm not going to give you information on this client. Like, you have him, but yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything. It's not like we're starving for that person and to only have that person. We want them to succeed as a group, and we work as a team together, and we do work with a lot of different other employment agencies as well.
Perfect.
We collaborate with vocational rehabilitation. Some of the differences are they definitely have very specific criteria
criteria for being accepted into the program, we're a lot looser. We have a lot less criteria, and sometimes our whole goal is to get folks to a point of being ready to get connected to vocational rehabilitation. So we work together, and the big difference between us and Goodwill, we look at competitive employment, and competitive is being paid at least minimum wage or higher. And for folks that are connected to Goodwill, sometimes they don't actually make that full rate of pay. There's a few more specifics involved in terms of how they equate that. So it's not exactly the same, but definitely a resource, and we work with them.
Okay, and that really was my question. Is everybody working in their own silos? Are we all? And the answer is no. So there's collaboration, there's conversation going on, and all of this is with an aid towards helping folks getting to where they need to be. That's wonderful. Do you work entirely with entry level, or is there any sort of middle or even executive management type of things?
I don't work just with entry level, and I do have some that are actually, college graduates that are looking more for, I guess, a specific type of career-based system. I start from lower education level up to really high education level. Everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the stigma is, if I hire somebody that might have some type of mental health adversity, how is this going to impact my company? Well, a lot of companies don't understand is probably half of their employees are suffering from some type of mental health crisis. And a lot of the people I do help, the employers don't know that they're working with me because it's the disclosure part. I help them get a job, but if, let's say, David, you have a job that's hiring, I know about it. I think it's a perfect fit for, my client, Nathalie, over here. I'm just going to help Nathalie get the job, but you might never know that I'm sitting over here helping her, giving her mock interviews, setting her up for a resume. It's just based on employee and employer contact and disclosure. And what does the employee want? Does the employee want me to let them know that I'm helping, or do they want me just to be on the sidelines helping?
Right. So one last thing. We talked before we had this meeting this morning. We talked about this a little bit. The sort of the universality of this. When you go back to that stigma, we think about it as them, us and them, right? Those people have a problem. These, and you just pointed a graph that said 41% of people have a problem, right now. And so it's this sort of, we all have it at some point, or most of us have it at some point. We have something going on there, and this is nothing more or less than that. So the severity means different types of ways to address it, but it's all but universal. One of the things that you mentioned in the 10 things you can do to make a difference, Nathalie, was encourage open, share your own experiences. And I do remember one of our first staff meetings when we all got back together this last year. Just said to the team, I feel sad and tired. And it really opened up conversation. Like, yeah, me too. Like that's where we are right now, and we're going to be okay, and we're together, and we're going to make this work. But it was just that, and it wasn't sort of planned. It just kind of came out like that's the truth. And I think that kind of conversation is something that as managers, executives, we tend to avoid because it's a show of weakness, but it's the truth. And sometimes saying it is the right thing to do because you're probably showing it, right? Mm-hmm. It's there somewhere. So I really liked that share your own personal experience, encourage open communication about that. I really think that's a very valuable thing we can do, short of anything else that we're talking about here. So people are saying great presentation. They're saying thank you very much. I think we're going to send it back to the tables for a couple minutes. Is that okay with you guys? You around?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So
yeah,
if you want to find them, I don't know what table they're going to go back to here, but go and ask Megan and Nathalie some questions. We will break in here a little bit before the end, and we'll give away a couple prizes, and we'll make some announcements about upcoming events. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.